All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this talk then. My name's Fit. I'm the current head admin of a whitelisted Minecraft community called Stonebound. We average about 100 unique players each week. We host various popular mod packs. I've been running various Minecraft servers for about 4 years now, and for the past 2 years, it's been like only modded. I want to talk about today about monetization, community, technology, and all that other stuff that is related to Minecraft modded servers. And if you're gonna have any questions, I'm gonna try to put in some breaks. So the first thing I want to explain to you is how did I get the head admin of a whitelisted community. So you understand my motivations and ideals behind running a community, where I don't play on a small private server, single player, or even a big public server like some people like to do. Traditionally, I come from a public server background, so I used to play on those big servers, crazy in the beta days. Over time, a lot of protection plugins came up and locked down what people do. Everything was locked down. I just didn't enjoy it whatsoever. I hated protecting my stuff, and like I couldn't just go over to a friend's space and do stuff, and it's just a whole lot of mess. And so I looked into whitelisted communities and eventually found Stonebound and applied to that. At that point, I started playing modded servers. During my time there, I made some good friends and then pretty much took over the server after some time. And then in beginning this year, I took the head admin role and now basically running everything on the server as the main decision maker. Right, I have slides. I completely forgot, but yeah, here's the basic overview of what I have in mind for this talk. Any questions before we start? All right. So yeah, monetization. I think this is the most important stuff from most servers that want to survive for in the long term. Without money, there's nobody willing to spend like, I don't know, $70 a month on a server just to keep it running forever. People lose interest and so servers die out, which sucks. So you probably want to keep your server running some way or another. And how do you do that? So there's different ways. Lots of servers choose the way of item monetization, which is now against the end user agreement and all that other stuff that comes with making people spend money on in-game items. So there's really only one other thing besides selling in-game items, which is donations. But most people aren't really willing to donate to just a random server. So how do you get people to donate in the first place? Since the foundation of the server was our rule to never have a shop that sells anything, and I believe providing a great experience to all players and making the server feel valuable to everyone is really the only solution to get people involved and wanting to donate. I feel like Patreon is a great example for that. If somebody thinks something is valuable, they're totally willing to spend money on something. So yeah, so we introduced new benefits for people, and we try to keep the server feel valuable to everyone. Listening to the user suggestions, basically the general community stuff. We have now little awards that tell people how much money they spent on donating. That shows them how much server time they paid with that, which is like a great little way to show people that they're actually contributing to the server and keeping it alive. Kind of like Reddit does it, where you have the server time when you buy gold, blah blah blah. So this month was the first time ever that we could actually completely overhaul costs of the server with donations, which is awesome. So how are you gonna find those players, build your community, the people that stick around, not those people that hop servers all the time? There's a lot of ways to get new players, and probably everyone makes different experience with that, trying to find players for their own server. It really depends on what you're looking for, how you advertise, and on your server size. I think the main thing everyone has used in the past at some point is the server lists. I think Unscribed touched that earlier, the little slides with the annoying GIFs that are really horrible to use, dominated by big servers with the pay-to-win awards. So the sites suck, but they're really the only way with good Google ranks to get your players. When somebody looks for a server, there's really no good other way. If you look for any server, basically any modpack server, you will always find one of these big listing sites. So how do you get people to notice you? All of these sites usually have a section for new listed servers. And there's usually a bunch of sites you can use at once, and I would recommend spreading out your advertising over a duration of a week or something, so you get as much publicity as possible. For then whitelisting those people, set good rules for your staff. Make sure you make clear what kind of people are allowed in. That is kind of subjective because there's obviously people with more or less history online related to the username. But try to get the good people in basically, and prefer people that have some friends on the server. How do you keep your players happy, keep them around and involved? Once you have those players from the listing sites or wherever, Reddit, or even like the little social efforts, and like somebody's looking for a server in a Reddit post in the comments, like try to always get into that. So you have those players. You want to try to keep them on your server. Most people hop servers a lot from mod pack to mod pack, which is really annoying if you want to keep a community alive. So you want to do events and stuff like that to bring the community together, and also listen to the community what map packs they currently want. Just if you don't like playing that pack, doesn't matter. If your community wants to play a certain pack, put a server up. It's no big deal. There will be a next server you enjoy yourself. Another thing I think is really important. A lot of people don't really know what is laggy or not. You have a lot of people building stuff that they think is perfectly fine, but in the end turns out is laggy. Instead of punishing those players, try to make everyone aware that you're looking for those issues, and try to teach everyone how to use mods properly and how to avoid item spam on the ground or something that brings down your server. Right, the last thing is making moderation transparent. I guess that flows in with trying to explain people how you deal with lag, but it also goes to if you find somebody stealing, and try to make everyone aware that you're seeing those issues. The server still mounts, sorry. What was I? Oh yeah, so when somebody's stealing, make everyone aware that you found somebody stealing, basically. They're aware that you're looking out on the server, and it makes them feel way more comfortable. Also, when there's like a lot of crash issues going on, have an update site or something, some little banner that tells people what's going on and that the server is going to be up soon. Otherwise, people won't know what's going on and they will harass the shit out of you. I think that was that for the community aspect. Now I'm going to go into like the technical side of things. Try to cover it without going into too much detail, because there's a lot of history in running the technical side of a server with modded stuff. So probably everyone here, maybe not everyone, but try to run a small moderate server, even if it's for your own friends only. And when you do that, you usually just run Forge by itself and it works fine. But once you get to a bigger size, there's like this little quality of life things you really want. And like tracking for performance, track who's stealing, griefing, see how often people are online, and get like little statistics and stuff like that. From past experiments, I have learned that there isn't enough Forge mods really to cover everything a modded server needs. There is a few things. There's like Forge Essentials, server tools, and there's like all these cool mods that showed up in 1.7.10, but it still doesn't cover everything you can do with Bucket. So Bucket, I think everyone's heard of, is the plugin API that is been around like pretty much forever. I can imagine in Minecraft. I don't know. It was like one of the first big plugin APIs. So because of that, there's a lot of history. There's a lot of plugins that still work, and you can hook into that. The great thing is that those bucket versions usually are downwards compatible, so newer plugins work in older versions, etc. So there has been a lot of attempts to get the Bucket API into the Forge modded scene. There has been a lot of implementations. They were usually called something like Cauldron. The problem with that is they also usually brought performance enhancing patches in from their upstream, which sucks because they usually break modded stuff. In 1.7.10 at this point, those mods, those implementations, the main one is Cauldron, is really stable. But more moving forward, it doesn't look like there will be such a thing again in newer versions with the updates coming so fast and it taking forever to get all the bugs ironed out in those versions. Yes, Sponge, exactly. So that's where we're going to talk about next, pretty much. Did I miss anything I had on the slide? Yeah, Bucket is there. It's buggy as hell, but it's needed pretty much at the current state because Sponge didn't exist until pretty recently. It came out into beta, I think March this year, and it doesn't exist for 1.7.10. So until this point, Bucket was always needed pretty much for any bigger server, which sucks. So yeah, Sponge. Sponge in 1.10. I hope you guys are aware, like, I love Sponge and everything they do, but at the current stage, it's really broken and pretty much impossible to use for any production quality server. We threw a mod pack together about 2 weeks ago, just maybe like 80 mods or so, and pretty much everything was broken. All the interactions were broken. It was horrible. We reported a lot of stuff on GitHub and they're working on it, but at the current state, it's still unusable. I hope they get it working. And I hope they have better update cycles because they were stuck on 1.8 for a long time and now only recently decided to move on faster versions. Outside of Sponge, there is another attempt to make a Forge mod. Implemented as a Forge mod, which may work. It's pre-alpha, I don't know, but I figured I'd mention it. The mod is called Lunchbox. I think that's it, touching all this stuff, so I have nothing left, so I would like to do a Q&A if you have any questions. No questions?
Well, do you have to take measures to ensure that the TPS doesn't drop because of certain mods or machines?
So taking certain measures, I wouldn't say so. There are a bunch of servers that have notifications or something for the staff that when the TPS drops at a certain point, staff gets notified, just so they're aware of it. You can't really ever get it to stop at reaching low TPS. There is some ways, but it causes more issues than it solves. So our way is getting reported that TPS is low and try to fix this as soon as possible and then educate the players what went wrong. There's like a few implementations that basically skip ticks for stuff that goes behind and try to keep TPS up that way. But like I said, it breaks more than it helps.
Yeah, I have some experience with Spigot and Paper. It's all broken. All not very pretty, and in combination with Forge, yeah, no.
Yeah, exactly. No more questions?
People seem to be uninterested.
There you go. So Opus by itself is somewhat alive. Not really, but somewhat. For 110.2, yeah, there is Tick Profiler, and I believe there's Sampler. Tick Profiler is more of a general thing that brings you to chunks that are laggy. I haven't actually used Sampler too much yet, but we'll look into that once we reach some stable servers on 110. Because Opus, even on 1.7.10, Opus at this point is pretty much unusable on K Cauldron, which is the fork of Minecraft Forge to run servers. Yes. They're both server-side only. So I guess my hope for the future of modded Minecraft is that there are more native mods that support stuff like modifying how the chat looks on the server side. In general, more server-side only mods. There isn't that many mods that actually do stuff for the servers, besides the bigger ones, which aren't that stable. And there are not that many people working on it, but it's a shame because I feel like the majority of players are actually on servers, but it's always overlooked. I don't actually know what that mod does. I believe it just gives you statistics for mods, if I believe correctly. Like how much people install a certain mod. Somebody can correct me on that. Alright, if there's no more questions, I'm gonna end this talk. Our website is still mod.net. Thank you everyone for attending. I'm gonna lag the server now with clicking the screen behind me. Wasn't that bad. Alright, thank you everyone.